Good morning, dear students. Today we can discuss regarding the anatomy of urethra. So as we all know that urethra is the last portion of the renal system. First we can discuss regarding the definition of the urethra. The urethra is a tubular passage which transmits urine and seminal fluids in males and only urine in females. So as we all know that the urethra carries urine from the bladder to the out part, and that can transmit urine and seminal fluids, which can transmit urine and seminal fluids in case of males but only urine in case of females. So there are some of the difference between male and female urethra. So we can discuss each one in detail. Okay, we can discuss each one separately. So first is the male urethra. So male urethra is much more longer than that of female urethra. It is about 18 to 20 centimeter in length. Then it extends from the internal urethral orifice at the neck of the urinary bladder to the external urethral orifice at the tip of the glans penis. So at the neck of the bladder there is internal urethral orifice. So this male urethra gets start from that region, that is from the internal urethral orifice, and that extends up to the external urethral orifice, which is located at the tip of the glans penis. Okay. Then the shape of the male urethra. So when the penis or when the glans penis is in flaccid state, the long axis of the urethra presents two curvatures. So due to that character, it attains S shape, capital letter S shape. But when the penis is in erect state, its one curvature gets disappears. That means the distal curvature gets disappears, and that time when it is in erect state, the male urethra is having capital letter J shape. The next we can see the parts of the male urethra. So the male urethra is mainly divided into three parts, three important parts. That is prostatic parts, because it passes through the prostate. Then second part, membranous part, because it passes through the urogenital diaphragm. And spongy or penile part, because it passes through the corpus spongiosum of the penis. So this is the picture. So the important part of the urethra. The urethra gets start from the male urethra gets start from the neck of the bladder at the internal urethral orifice. Is here. So after beginning from here, it extends downwards, and this area is the prostatic urethra, because behind the prostatic urethra there is prostatic glands, so it passes through the prostate, hence it is having that name. And after passing through the prostatic urethra, the next part is what? Membranous urethra. Then the membranous urethra leads into spongy urethra. Okay. Finally, there is urethral orifice. So next we can discuss regarding prostatic part of the urethra. Okay, we can discuss each part, each main part of the male urethra in detail. So first part is prostatic part, which is 3 cm long. So as its name indicates, that travels through the anterior part of the prostate. Then this prostatic part of the urethra is most widest and most dilatable part of the male urethra. Okay. Then when we are viewing this prostatic part in its coronal section, it is having fusiform appearance. And the inner aspect, the inner side of the prostatic part presents some of the features. Mainly there are three main features. First one, urethral crest. A urethral crest is present. Urethral crest means a median longitudinal ridge of the mucous membrane. So that is present inside of the prostatic urethra. Then second characteristic feature, which is seen at the middle part of the urethral crest, which is known as colliculus seminalis or vermondanum. Okay, what is this colliculus seminalis or vermondanum? It is nothing but an elevation of middle of the urethral crest. This middle part of the urethral crest get elevated, and that portion is known as vermont. Okay. The prostatic utricles opens or submit by a slit-like orifice. On either side of this orifice, the prostatic urethra opens the ejaculatory ducts through. So what the prostatic urethra gets opens to it submits through a slit-like opening, and on either side of this opening, ejaculatory duct gets opens. So here the prostatic urethra gets opens into submit by a slit-like structure, and on either side of this opening, the ejaculatory duct gets open. Then third characteristic feature of the prostatic urethra is prostatic sinuses. Prostatic sinuses means vertical grooves, one on each side of the urethral crest. So on either side of this urethral crest, one prostatic sinus is present on either side. So one is present on the left side and one is present on the right side likewise. So each of the sinuses, the name of that sinus is prostatic sinuses, and each of the sinus is having 15 to 20 openings of the prostatic glands. So 15 to 20 prostatic glands gets opens into each of the sinus. Okay. Then the second important part is membranous part of the urethra, which is 2 cm in length, and as its name indicates, it travels through the urogenital diaphragm and pierces the perineal membrane about 2.5 cm below and behind the symphysis pubis. So just 2.5 cm below and just behind to the symphysis pubis, this membranous part of the urethra gets pierces the perineal membrane, and so it transverses through the urogenital diaphragm. Hence that part is having this name, that is membranous part of the urethra. And this membranous part of the urethra is surrounded by sphincter urethrae muscles, and that serves as voluntary external sphincter of the bladder. It can serve as a voluntary external sphincter of the bladder. Then in this membranous part of the urethra, which is the most narrowest and least dilatable part of the urethra, just opposite to the prostatic part of the urethra. Prostatic part of the urethra is most dilatable part of the urethra, but this membranous part is most narrowest and least dilatable part of the urethra. So in this region, in this type of urethra, excepting the area of external urethral orifice, all other parts are having numerous mucus glands. Okay, so ഈ membranous part of the urethra എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് most narrowest and least dilatable part ആണ്. ഈ membranous part of the urethra external urethral orifice ഒഴികെയുള്ള ബാക്കി എല്ലാ ഭാഗത്തും numerous mucus glands presented ആണ്. Okay, its lumen is having star shape. Then third part is spongy part of the urethra, which is having a length of 15 cm. Then it travels through the corpus spongiosum of the penis, hence it is having spongy part. It first passes upward and forward in the bulb of the penis to lie below the pubic symphysis. Then it bends downward and forward and travels through the corpus spongiosum in the free part of the penis and terminates as the external urethral orifice just below the tip of the glans penis. So what is happening here means, first initially this spongy part passes upward and forward, and just it comes and lies below the symphysis pubis. Then after that what happened, it bends forward and downward and forward, and then it travels through the corpus spongiosum, and finally it terminates at the external urethral orifice at the below to the tip of the glans penis. So initially അത് upward and forward ആയിട്ട് പാസ് ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട് ദിസ് സ്പോഞ്ചി പാർട്ട് ഓഫ് ദി യുറീത്ര. എന്നിട്ട് അത് സിംഫൈസിസ് പ്യൂബിസിൻ്റെ ബിലോ ലെവലിൽ എത്തിക്കഴിഞ്ഞതിന് ശേഷം ദെൻ ഇറ്റ് ബെൻസ് ഡൗൺവേർഡ് ആൻഡ് ഫോർവേഡ്. അത്